Hello，你好，欢迎回来。Welcome back to Wisdom Wednesday with Johnny Tiger on June 29, 2022. I remember a while ago I was reading about action figures. As most of you know, when you follow Toys Thursday, I have been collecting action figures for a long time. And so I was doing some reading on action figures, and I read somewhere that action figures are more for people who still remember them. In other words, people who buy action figures today are mostly adults that remember these action figures from when we were children. The children today no longer play with action figures as much as we did when I was a child. Of course, when I was a child, there was no such thing as tablet or iPhone or Samsung Galaxy or all this handheld stuff. Heck, when I was a child, uh, Game Boy and uh, all those handheld video games weren't even a thing until I was a teenager. So when I was a child, hide and seek was still a big thing, and climbing trees and treasure hunts and pretend uh, wars and stuff like that, where role playing and uh, big groups of kids out there on the street, and we have one side is the good guys, one side is the bad guys, and then you do imaginary battles. Those were still a thing when I was little, and of course, for those of us who were a little bit more sheltered, action figures, and then a little bit later, video games. So I want to use this episode to talk a little bit about games that were enjoyed for thousands of years by generation upon generation of Chinese people. Games we played when we were children. Well, okay, let me be honest. Out of the five games I'll be talking about today, only one I actually played when I was a child. The others were a little bit before my time. However, those games that were played long before I was born, they have now been upgraded and immortalized as part of the national championship, national game and fun and sports in China. So they're no longer, strictly speaking, just game for children. They are game for professional athletes to test each other's mettle with. So that's pretty interesting. First, let's go through some vocabulary because this is actually kind of fun. Uh, to play in Mandarin is called one, one, W-U-N, or you can think of it as the number one, O-N-E, one. That is the action of playing. However, this is something that's culturally quite interesting. When Chinese people play instrument, play piano, uh, play violin, they do not use the word one because Chinese people tend to be a little bit overly serious with regarding to musical instrument. So to play the piano, they say 弹钢琴. They will never say 玩钢琴. 弹 means to string, to make sound with strumming an instrument. So most of the string instrument like guitar and piano and harp is 弹 as the verb to interact with them. So you string them, you make sound with them. You 弹钢琴, you don't play guitar, you don't 玩吉他, you 弹吉他. This is a little slice of my culture where you can see how Chinese people just for I hate to say this, a lot of times Chinese people don't have a sense of humor, don't have a sense for fun, and that everything have to be work and money and seriousness with them. Um, so one is a word for play. When people ask you, you want to go out and you want to go hang out, or you want to go out, go shopping, or go out and have some fun. People say 出去玩，出去玩. That's CHUCHEONE. 出去玩 means go out and play. Even though you're adult, you're not really playing. But the act of going out and enjoy a day outside is 出去玩. And when you want to invite someone to come to your home, when you want to invite someone to come over to visit you, you can say 过来玩. means come here and play. 过来, GWO, 过来, LAI means come here and 玩 play. 过来玩, come here and play. Even though if you might be adult and you just come get together and watch football and drink beer, you're not really playing. But yeah, the when you want to invite someone to come to your house, you say 过来玩. You want to go out and have some fun with friends, you say 出去玩. And when you want to wish someone to have a good time, when you say, "Hey, have a good time," when someone tells you, "Hey, I'm going to Disneyland," or "I'm going to New York," or "I'm going to California," uh, and you say, "Have fun." In Mandarin, you say, "玩的开心点." 玩的开心点. Uh, it's a little bit long, so let's take this apart word by word, and it makes sense. 玩的 means play, playing, played. It's like a past tense and future tense together. 玩的开心, Kaixing means happy, joy. 点, Dian means uh, a little. So 玩的开心点 means try to have some fun, try to play a little. 玩的开心点 is when you say to someone when they tell you they're going on a trip. Game, video game, board game is called 游戏. 游戏, YOXI, 游戏. Just in case you guys wonder, it sounds like SH or CH. Why are you saying X? On paper, in Mandarin spelling, X makes a she sound. Okay, X makes a she sound. But 游戏 means game. So to play game, you say 玩游戏. 玩游戏. Play game. A little interesting slang. If you ask if someone is bullshitting you, someone is lying to you, you say 你玩我吗?你玩我吗?你 means ne means you. 玩我 playing me. Are you playing me? 你玩我吗? Ma in this case means a question mark. It's a question mark. 你玩我吗? Uh, are you playing me? Are you bullshitting me? All right, with that little bit of vocabulary and slang, let's move on to games we played when we were little. First, let's start with the one that I actually did play. Uh, this one, I don't know if there's an equivalent in English because I've never seen it here in North America. Uh, in my language, in the Taiwanese language, this is called Ang A Piao. Ang A Piao. So that's UN and then A on its own, ang, piao, and POW, ang, piao. Ang means characters, like cartoon characters. Um, so ang piao is a game that was super, super popular when I was going to school in Taiwan, when I was 11, 12 years old. And what it is, let me describe the game. It's actually pretty simple. You and your whoever you're playing against, because you do play, you have to play against people in on IPL. You can have one versus one, or one four or five people, 10 people playing together, uh, each one fighting to be the last survivor, basically speaking. Uh, you use these game pieces that you buy from the store. And these game pieces, they are, imagine if you draw a cartoon character on paper, and then you cut it out. So you have this very flat cutout of a cartoon character. Okay? Except in the case of Angapel, these characters, they're made out of plastic. So they're still flat. They look like paper cutout of a men and women and fruits and vegetables and all kind of designs, but they are made of plastic, so they're more durable than paper. Yeah? So that's what the game pieces are. And when you buy them from the store, you never know what you're getting. Like it's all blind bag. You buy a bag of 10, and they can range from uh, Superman or Batman or like popular cartoon character, or they can be something so weird like uh, a dog food dish. Like it's just literally a plastic picture of a dog food dish, or a carrot, or a pineapple, or something like that. And yeah, they're all about the size of, let's see, um, if you put the tip of your thumb against your index finger, make a circle, that's about how big these things are. So they're these little flat plastic pieces that look like cutouts of characters or vegetables or food items or animals and stuff like that. And like I said, when you buy a bag, it's completely random what you get. So the objective of the game is you and your partner each select one character or one game piece from your own selection, your own collection, and then you put your pieces on the table and you flick them with your fingertip. You can't throw them, you can't push them. You have to use your fingertip and just flick them. And the objective is to see who can get uh, his or her game piece on top of the piece of the person they're playing against. So if I am playing against you and I manage to get my carrot piece on top of your Superman piece, well, sorry, dude, your Superman now belong to me. I take that home. Okay, so you can win yourself a lot of characters if you're really good at it. And it's not just about skills either, because depending on the shape, depending on the design of these pieces, some pieces have a much better advantage, much bigger advantage than other pieces. For example, let's say I have a piece that is the shape of it's a pineapple. Like pineapples were notoriously badass. Like it's really hard to beat a pineapple. Why? Because the pineapple shape is kind of round at the top. So whenever you happen to land a piece on top of a pineapple, there's a big chance of your piece just sliding off. And it's so easy for the pineapple to get on top of other pieces because the pineapple is rounder and it can roll on top of other pieces when you flick it just right. Pineapple, carrot, watermelon, those game pieces were so devastating that a lot of people spent hundreds of dollars buying bags and bags of these things in the store, hoping that they get one of these really badass uh, designs so they could really kick ass in during one of these games. So that's essentially it. Ang a little battle of the character. It's like a very, very, very primitive form of Pokemon, if you would have it. Um, and some people were so good at it, they can uh, just they don't even buy that many characters, and they just get new characters because they keep beating other people. I knew a guy who got up to 3,000 game pieces. Uh, he himself probably only bought 200 of them. All the rest came from winning other people's game pieces over. So Angapel was a really big, popular teenagers game when I was a teenager. Number two, this came from China and was immensely popular in the 40s and 50s. This one called Ba Tiao. Ba Tiao, and it's a form of tug of war, but rather than using rope, people go out and cut willow branches and take all the leaves out, and then treat these willow branches to uh, different kind of you put it through different process. I'll talk about that a little in a little bit. And then what you do is you and your opponent each hold onto one end of the willow branch. So let's say I have a willow branch and you have a willow branch. In our we're going to stand face to face with each other, and you are going to hold onto the other end of mine, and I'm going to hold onto the other end of yours, and we are going to count one, two, three, and we pull as hard as we can and see whose willow branch break first. And then, of course, if yours get broken, then you have to go find a new one. You are no longer allowed to play, and I can go on to challenge the next person who have their own willow branch. And this was immensely competitive because if you have a good willow branch, you can defeat 10, 20, 30 people, and there's all kinds of different formulas and solutions and tips and tricks on how to develop the ultimate willow branch so your willow branch will never break. Um, so here is one of the most tried and true willow branch developing tactic. After you strip all the uh, leaves from the willow branch, you want to leave your willow branch out in the sun for a couple of days so it leaches most of the moisture out of it. But you can't leave it out there for too long because if you leave it out there for too long, then the willow branch get brittle. It just get crunchy when it get too dry. So you want to wait until it's kind of in that leathery state, and then you want to find someone who sweats a lot. Yeah, this sounds totally disgusting, I know, but if back back then the people who sweat a lot were immensely popular. People actually pay them for their service to help them develop their willow branch. Because what you want to do, if you so the person who sweats a lot want to put this willow branch close to their skin, usually under their foot. So they would fold it up and put it in their shoe, and they would walk on it all day so their sweat would soak into the willow branch. The salt content in your sweat and the oil from your body will make that willow branch almost like tanning leather, almost like tanned leather, and it's super super tough. The more sweat, the better. So you let the willow branch soak in your sweat during the day, and at night you take it out and let it air out. And tomorrow you repeat the process. 3 or 4 days later, this willow branch is nearly unbreakable. Yeah, so this was just one of the ways. There was a lot of other ways like rubbing salt on it, rubbing alcohol on it, but the human sweat was one of the best solution for developing the ultimate willow branch that no one else could beat. So Batiao, the Chinese tug of war with the willow branches, was one of the very popular games back in the 40s and 50s. Number three. Now we're going to go back in time We're going to go into something a little bit more obscure and totally badass, almost like something you would see in a kung fu movie. Number three, Stone Balls. And this game was very popular in the Qing Dynasty back in the late 1700, 1800, uh, so about 200 years ago. And it played like soccer, except because they didn't have the technology to make soccer ball. So what they did, they took rock and carved them into the shape of balls, and then they kicked those like in a soccer game. Now, okay, we're not even going to go into like how badass that is. You're kicking a stone ball at each other, and you have to try to stop that ball from going into the getting into the goal. And then, not to mention, your foot have to be super super tough to be able to do that. I can imagine a lot of people end up with busted kneecaps and broken shin just from kicking a stone ball. But stone balls are still immensely popular. That in 1999 the Chinese government officially made stoneball the number 6 national sport in China, and it is still being played on a competitive level today in China. Number 2, the Diabolo. I know it sounds like I'm saying Diablo, but this is not Diablo, okay? Diablo it's got nothing to do with the devil. It's just Western people after learning about it in China, they call it Diabolo because the actual name is Da Tuo Luo, Da Tuo Luo, and then the English speakers that translated it for some reason call it Diabolo. It's spelled Diabolo. So yeah, a little bit like Diablo, but Diabolo. What is Diabolo? Diabolo is a very interesting game that I've actually experienced it when I was a child, but I couldn't get a hang of it because you have to sort of be able to see what you're doing to be really good at it. Diabolo is like a Chinese version of yo-yo. Any of you who've ever played yo-yo will know what I'm talking about. So Diabolo is a Chinese yo-yo game that was developed, get this, 2000, over 2000 years ago during the Han Dynasty. So yeah, over 2000 years ago they were playing something so intricate. Um, Diabolo, the yo-yo itself looks like an ice cream cone standing on the pointy end. So it's carved from wood and the shape of a cone, and the pointy end is usually reinforced with metal, so it can spin on the ground without wearing away the wooden part. You wrap rope around the whole cone, and then you throw it out like a hand grenade. And while it's in the air, you pull hard on the rope, and as the rope unwinds from the diabolo, the diabolo will spin really, really fast. And when it hits the ground, it will, because it's spinning so fast, it will uh, stand on the pointy end and keep spinning, almost like an electric drill. And this is very, very competitive in China. And even today, they have Diabolo contests. People use them, pair them up with gymnastic and other high intensity kind of sports and exercises. But 2000 years ago, Diabolo was a popular game for Chinese children everywhere because it was something really easy to make. All you need is wood and then a little bit of metal or rock to make the pointy part, and then a rope to tie around the whole thing. Last but not least, definitely not least, because I did save the best for last, is a game in Mandarin called Jianzi, Jianje. But if you have ever heard of it, you might have known it by the Western name, and I kid you not, this is called Shadowcock. Shadowcock. Yeah, okay, no. Hopefully you finished laughing by now. Uh, what the heck is a Shadowcock? Shadowcock is a very tricky, very athletically demanding game that was immensely popular for Chinese children. Again, over 2,000 years ago. And what it is, it's a flat piece. Imagine you take the washer from your kitchen sink or the plug from your kitchen sink. So it's a round, flat piece. Nowadays you can make it out of rubber, but back then it's usually made out of copper or wood. And then you put four chicken feathers on top of it. So it looked like a little bit like a badminton bird. It's a flat, round piece with feathers sticking out the top. And the objective is you have to keep it in the air as long as you can by kicking it or hitting it with your elbow or hitting it with your knee or hitting it with your head. You cannot touch it with your hand after the initial throw. Uh, the after you throw it in the air, you have to juggle it and keep it in the air by using other part of your body and hitting it. It's so visual that I was unable to learn how to play it when I was a child. But even today, this is so competitive that there is actually a, yeah, you're going to have a good laugh. There's a Shadowcock International Association um, that do promote shuttlecock as a very legit competition sport, and it is really really competitive and demanding. Uh, there's a lot of super high kicks and fancy roundhouse kicks and side kicks just to keep that thing in the air. When you play it against a partner, it's a little bit like tennis. You have to kick it to your partner, and your partner have to kick it back, all the while not letting it touch the ground. So everything is done really fast and in the air. Uh, sort of no wonder Chinese people came up with so many amazing Chinese kung fu movements. If 2,000 years ago their children were playing something like shuttlecock. Well, I hope this has been fun and a little bit informative. I will see you guys again tomorrow in Toy Thursday. For now, 谢谢 and 再见。